think there was a game that we were all playing that most people didn't like, but it was like, You know what game I really enjoyed, but it's because I rented it and didn't buy it, was the Lost game. Nobody liked that game.
Yeah. You know what? I got it for free.
Yeah.
And enjoyed it for what... I enjoyed exploring.
Yep.
And that was all I wanted out of it.
I would have loved to do this whole, like, whatever and be on the island and, like, play around, but it was like, hey, this is a storybook game. Just go, just take it for what it is.
Yeah.
And like, you can explore the sets that you're familiar with and, like, get really in depth and, like, investigate, and you get to go to, at the point, all the key points in the show. Oh, all right, voice acting was, but they actually got the guy who did, they got, what's his name, Michael Emerson to do the voice of Ben.
They got a random selection.
Yeah.
Like,
Claire was...
Sun came back, but Jin didn't come back.
Yeah.
Hurley didn't come back.
But they got a good guy for Hurley.
Yeah. But the guy who played Locke was like a Native American.
No, you have to go to the hatch.
Yeah,
He literally did
They got Claire.
Yeah.
They didn't get Charlie.
Yeah.
It was such a weird assortment.
But they got it. Well, was this?
He wasn't in the game.
Okay. They got it down to where it was like 6 episodes, and it was like watching the show.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that. But I mean, it got shit on because it was.
What's interesting though is to think about that game. Sorry, we're going into a different conversation. Matthew, cool. Have you seen Lost?
I have seen all of season 4 and 5, and that's it.
Nothing else?
Because when it was initially out, I was kind of young, so I wasn't really interested in it.
Right.
And my dad always watched it, and I watched all of season 4 and 5 of them.
Weird.
But then I just kind of stopped watching it because I never really watched television.
Well, you should watch the rest. But now that the series is over, it's interesting watching the ending of that game. Because they originally touted it as, oh yeah, this is canon, like Damon and Carlton, and they wrote it, and this fits, this is whatever. And it's funny that once the game came out, it got panned, everyone went, no, this is not, nothing, none of this is anything to do, no, this has nothing to do with the show, it's its own thing. Whatever, everybody denied involvement in it, and then the show, the way that it ended, looking at that ending and thinking Damon and Carlton signed off on this, because they did, they can't deny that, they signed off on everything in that game.
Yeah.
What does it mean in the context of the show? Or does it point to maybe where they were going, and that's not ultimately where they went, or what? I don't want to go into it since you have it, whatever, but you know what I mean? Do you remember the ending?
Of the game?
Yeah.
I remember, and I think I do, but I don't. I remember like the last scene, like what happens, and getting woken up, and the whole like.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Now we'll have to talk about it when people aren't who would be spoiled.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if anybody's gonna play the game, but still.
I'm not even talking about spoilers for the game, just in context of the show.
Of the show, yeah. No, it'll be interesting, especially because I literally just watched the entire series again. I just finished like right before coming here.
Yeah.
The last episode, which by the way, I don't know if you've watched it since it aired. I think you have.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing. I made a point to watch the last season again because, like I said before, everybody in the anticipation of the next season, would watch each season a dozen times. But then the show ends. Most people see it. They go, "Oh, season 6," and now the show's over, and that's it.
Yeah.
But season 6 needs multiple viewings.
Yes.
It's not like, I'm not going to say that's my favorite season or whatever, but it definitely, I remember, the show ended and I was kind of like, that was good, season 6 was kind of whatever, but that was a good show, and you watch it again and it's a lot better, and you get a lot more out of it,
And that's how I felt watching it again this time, like, even the second time I watched it, this is the third time I've watched it.
Yeah.
Even the second time I watched it, I was like, okay, it's fine, yeah, it's good. This time, I'm like, that's a really good season. It's not... it's not like season 4 or 5. Which I think are probably my, toss-up for my favorite seasons. But they do a lot in that season to really drive, the way that they did it, without spoiling anything, the way that they did it, I think they did it really well so that you got an ending that made sense and an ending that felt good. And that was the thing that I think a lot of people didn't catch. Like, that whole, like, you know, whatever they were doing, you know, the two stories.
Yeah. Hold that thought 1 second. Matthew, this is not why you called, and I apologize.
It's
But
it's
I
all
want to
cool.
keep talking about this.
Yeah.
Matthew, what do you think? Did we answer your question good or not?
It started out decent.
But then you got Rocco and I on Lost, which is...
Yeah, we're gonna go off on this subject, so I don't want to keep you.
You
No,
can,
it's totally cool.
if Kevin shows up, you can ask him what 90% of hanging out with me and Rocco is. Sitting there and listening to us. talk
Yeah,
about
it's
Lost.
2 years later, and we're not over the stupid ass TV show. It's so stupid.
Every so often when I'm talking to Rocco about it, I go, God, are we going to be like Trekkies who still talk about...
I'm already there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I'm still talking about it. It's 2 years later. I can still have, as you can see, a lengthy discussion about everything in that show.
So we're at a crossroads here,
Yeah.
Matthew. What should we do?
I don't know. I kind of see where you're coming from because just recently, Frank and I both watched all of Evangelion.
Oh,
And so-
that's another thing.
That's a
gotta
whole
talk
other
about.
kettle of fish, right?
Yeah, and so, like, I don't know, like, when we finished it, me and Frank, we would just talk about the show and the movies, and then anyone else hang out with us would just get so annoyed
Yeah,
and want us to move on.
yeah.
So, I understand that.
That was me through high school for like a year. Was just I wanted to talk about that, and it was like, yeah, Rocco. So what's this and this and that? Yeah, don't bother me. Anyway, yeah. So you know. But anyway, yeah. That was Lost for me before Lost aired.
Yeah.
I was just all about that.
I kind of want to go back and watch all of Evangelion again, but it's like I really like what's going on with the new ones, so it's like I
Yeah, I kind of don't want to get buried in
I don't
that.
want to go back to the old ones because
New one this fall, so not far off.
hopefully
You're not going to see it for a year.
Yeah, I was
but-
gonna say hopefully we won't have to wait in a year for it. We can get a decent.
Japan, fix your piracy deal.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
More of it.
it was great watching Ava now because I didn't have to wait for anything. It's like, oh, it's all right here.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. I watched it, and I think it actually enhanced my enjoyment of it. I've said this before. But I watched it as it first came out on DVD. Back when DVD was like a new deal,
Yeah.
it was like Evangelion Volume 1, episodes 1 through 4, for $30.
Oh my god.
And it came out, and cool. And I watched them, and I'm like, this is interesting. And someone I know got Volume 2 4 months later. Hey, I got Volume 2. You want to borrow it? 3 episodes.
3 episodes.
Pop that in. Oh, that was pretty good, actually. So I bought that.
Yeah.
6 months later, Volume 3. And I watched them like that. And so for me, what I would do is I would space them out and almost use them as a reward system. You know, the first half of the show is kind of self-dependent. You're not like, oh, I need to see the next one. You're curious, but you know, whatever. But the second half of that show, forget it.
Yeah.
You need to see the next one. And that made it more fun to me because once you start getting around like episode like 16, 17, 18,
Oh, yeah.
there were still DVDs only coming out with 3 episodes a disc. So I would, okay, this Friday, I'm going to watch it, episode 18. And it would be like them versus the Unit 3 or whatever. And it was, oh my God! Okay, can I wait 2 weeks? Yeah. And that would be like my thing to get through. Like, I'm going to work hard at school, I'm going to do all this stuff, and then 2 weeks would pass by. Oh, shit. I can watch 19. Play. Oh, that was so good! Can I wait 2 weeks? And then when the final... So anyway, so for me, they were weeks and weeks apart. And that, to me, gave me time to really soak in the characters, digest what was happening, get to talk to people about it. That helped. You know, it's funny because Lost is a similar mythology and stuff like that. But because of the way Lost is built, I actually think Lost works better marathon.
Yes.
Because it's anticipation that actually hurts Lost. Because Lost just tells one story like... Whereas Evangelion is very self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Chunk. And I think you can wait. But with Lost, I actually think like, hey, dude, you watch like a season in it. If you can watch it in a day or 2 days, you're gonna have a good time, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, that being said, Evangelion, that's how I watched it, and I really think that's why it dug into me so bad. And I remember like I hadn't watched episodes. You know, I'd be like, you know, I'm waiting for the next DVD. It's got like episode 15, 16, 17 or whatever to come out, and I don't know anything. And then I remember going to like a Tower Records, because they were around at that time. 2002, no, 2000.
Yeah.
And 99, 2000. And I remember going to Tower Records, and they have Evangelion, like, figures here. Whoa. And they had this thing on a cross. And I was like,
Oh.
what the And then that made it work. It's like, I wish I wouldn't have seen that. What is coming in the next episodes? That's such a surreal thing to see. What is that? So anyway, that all made it like, I didn't read any message boards about it until it ended.
Yeah.
So when the last DVD showed up, I didn't say shit. I watched the third to last one with Kaoru and all that, and it was like, oh, I'm barging this tonight.
Yeah.
Fuck Patience. And I watched that, and it was...
Yeah. That.
Okay, I'll watch these again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then I watch those episodes probably again and again and again.
Yeah. Those are some Kubrick shit endings.
I don't even think Kubrick
Yeah.
did anything like that.
My brother watched Evangelion, and my brother's pretty forgiving when it comes to most things. Like, he'll be like, no, but, you know, it was emotionally cool. Or it was, you know, whatever. And he watched all of Evangelion, and he got to that, and he went, the fuck is this? He was like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, it's, like, literally what you saw. You know, it's this whole character crumbling and falling apart, and then, like, all this stuff. And, you know, I got into it, and he was just like, yeah, but it was still stupid. And I'm like, okay, well, we're done talking about that then.
See, everyone told me right before I watched it, everyone said, oh, it's great, but you'll hate the ending.
I love
And
it.
I heard that so much, but when I finally saw the ending for the first time, I thought it could, like, I could see why people hate this, but
Yeah.
I really, really liked it.
Don't
I thought it
let
was
Joe
great.
Public tell you about that ending, because
Yeah, I thought it was
that's
awesome.
the problem. It's not anybody and their mother can love this
No.
ending. It's one of those, you know. It takes a big risk,
Yeah.
and if you can appreciate the risk, right on. But I felt like Lost is the same way.
Yeah.
Hey, all of this that you were really digging into, let's cut the bullshit and get to what this is really all about.
Yep.
Here it is. And if you didn't like it, you know, but both series to me give you enough to go, I bet I know what was going on here.
Yeah.
They just don't. There are more important things for them to take their time with than to sit down and tell you, here's what's going on, because that's not even how life works.
Yeah.
And both of those shows say that to me.
Yeah.
Both of those shows go, you're never going to get the full picture. We're telling you the story through the character, and they would never have the full picture here, so why pretend they have it?
Yeah.
Here's what's important. And it's perfectly normal to not like that, I think. But
It's just,
if you like it, you'll like it.
and I think we've said it before. It's those people who sit there and go, "Oh no, it was dumb because it was just this." Like they'll go, I had one person who I almost started yelling at because they were just spewing stupid shit to me. It was like, oh yeah, you know, somehow we got on the topic of Lost. She's like, and what about that ending? Yeah, what about it? So they were dead the whole time?
You haven't seen it.
But even still, that doesn't give
But that's not the ending.
That's not the ending. They just, like, and I'm like, no, they quite literally make a point throughout the entire show. And that's why I said it, because it doesn't give anything away. They make a point throughout the entire show.
They even hint at it in, like, season 4. Oh, yeah, the world thinks you're dead. Oh, what? And then they tell you why that isn't.
Yeah.
And yet, oh, no, that was the ending? You know, like...
And that's what pissed me off, because it's like, oh, so they were just this? Lost doesn't go so far as to ever tell you directly anything unless it's absolute. And I wouldn't even say they maybe tell you twice directly that something is or isn't. And that was one of the things they said so directly. No, Nobody
Yeah,
was
one of the
dead
things
whole
they
time.
hammered in, yeah. But anyway, but that's why I want you to finish Lost, because I bet you'll feel the same way about that ending.
Yeah.
I'll definitely finish it eventually, sometime in the future.
Well,
Whenever
start
you get-
tonight.
Whenever you get some time,
Finish it tonight.
start season 1. No, but I agree with Rocco what you said about it being. That's a show you have to watch. Or benefits from being watched.
Yeah,
Just-
Lost is fun as a continuous thing.
Yeah.
I will say though that both of those shows, I think a lot of people take. Both shows get a lot of flack for. Yeah, the ending was all about the characters, but the show wasn't all about that. Well,
Who's the show about?
but here's the thing: the characters are number one.
Yeah.
But I don't think that either ending shits away the rest, because let's be honest, half the appeal of Lost was its mystery.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything in that show that left you going, that went, fuck the mystery, here you go.
Yeah.
It was only
Added more.
both endings wanted you to keep that mystery,
Yeah.
but gave you enough to where you had something to go off. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, neither of those gave a middle finger to mystery, in my opinion.
And yeah, I think that's definitely something that I was worried about, because I didn't want the ending of either show to be, and that's what it was. Oh, so now I know everything.
Because it has no power.
Because then it has no power. The ending was always, this is what you've seen, and now you have an answer for the things that you needed answers for the most part, and you at least have a conclusion that makes a good tie-in to the rest of the series.
And that's not to say that everything is perfect,
No.
but I think it's the right route. So to answer your question, yeah, probably Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for answering my question and going into all that detail.
Yep.
Yeah, probably GTA.
GTA. I would go GTA too.
Oh, Rocco, did you ever be? Because I know you started it. Did you ever be a Sero's Wrath?
No, I started it and I got like busy and then sick and then busy again.
Yeah, I just beat it today actually.
Oh
and
yeah.
I feel like because that game got like 5 out of 10s everywhere.
Yeah,
and-
but I know a lot of people personally who loved it.
yeah, Frank and I both beat it, and I loved it. I mean, it was awesome.
That's a game that embraced different, and
Yeah.
and it got crap for it. But it's like, well, it's not this game; it's that game.
Yeah.
You know?
You know
It's
what?
just a cool anime almost.
Yeah, I played probably like 4 chapters of it or 5 or something. I don't remember.
What game came out after Killer
Episodes?
7?
No More Heroes?
Was it?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
I think so. I don't know.
I feel like Killer 7 maybe was a game that I really loved. That
Yeah,
not
I
a lot-
can't
that-
see eye to eye with you on that.
that not a lot of people love.
That
See,
game
which
felt to me like we're trying to be different for the sake of being different. I couldn't do it.
Really?
I love the look of Killer 7, just
Yeah,
how it
the
looks.
directing
but
and style
I don't
are
like.
awesome.
I don't like the gameplay.
I think the way that game ends, Rocco, you would have liked it.
Yeah, no, the story was interesting
Yeah.
to me. I just didn't.
I love the gameplay because that game wasn't like, it wasn't about, hey, here's this difficult game that's gonna challenge the way that you think about video games. I felt like it really pandered to the story. That's why I feel like maybe if you played it now you might like
Maybe.
it, because it was really like very easy. of a game.
All I know is that there's a character named Kevin Smith in it, and I met Kevin Smith and had my copy of the game with me, and I had him sign it. I was like, "Can you sign this?" There's a character, and before I even finished, he went, "Yeah, there's a character named Kevin Smith. I got it. Look at that." And he circled the guy and wrote, "I'm way fatter. This is not me."
my
Signed
God.
Kevin Smith, and he put it in the thing. He's like, "Oh, come on,
Did you bring up Reese Witherspoon?
greasy Reezy."
Sounds like a chill dude.
Anyway, I asked him to say, you know what? I didn't put that. That should have been on version 2 special edition. Ladies and gentlemen, I fucked up. I have uncut footage of him talking about Mega64.
Oh, really?
Because I said, like, we do a show. Could you talk about it, like,
Oh,
just
that's
for
nice.
thing, and he talked about watching it and violently masturbating to it. Like, it just was like too much for him to watch, and he had to turn it off.
Throw it into something in the future.
I'll put it up on our channel. Yeah. What do you think?
There you go.
I'm looking forward to it.
Is he your favorite director of all time?
No, no.
What's your favorite movie? Jersey Girl?
My favorite movie is probably
Jiggly?
maybe Flubber.
Okay, this is a serious question.
Hang up.
Serious question. Film buffs here. And, okay, so we were saying about Lost.
Yeah, there was
Wait,
something...
who here's heard of... Well, no, we don't need to involve anybody else. Who in the chat? If anybody hasn't seen Lost, spoiler alarm. Don't watch this.
I have a question for you, because I powered through the second half of the season yesterday and today. How do you feel about telling people to watch only one episode out of order in season 6? If it were up to me, do you know if I say episode 15? Do you know which episode I'm talking about?
Is that the Jacob?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I say that...
we're spoiling stuff. Nobody, whatever.
Okay, we're going to spoil. Like, we're going to talk like nobody's here.
What? Yeah.
I would put that episode with Jacob and everything that happens in that episode at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, you know what? I thought that originally. I don't think that anymore.
Because when I watched it this time around, and the reason why I say it now, again, because at first I was like, yeah, I would do that. I don't know. It's okay. It makes sense here too. But I would put it at the beginning of the season because the last season had so much to do with the rules and the structure of everything that if you had that going into the season, it would have made a lot more sense to other people. I think it's fine where it is because where it was makes sense in the whole like feel of the show. But I feel like if you set up this idea that like they're here for the purpose of protecting the island, it would make it a much more. It would be a lot more clear to those people.
I think that makes sense in a sci-fi way because we don't see the real treasure of the island, like what it contains within. You don't. I feel like showing that at the beginning of the season lets you think about that.
Yeah.
Through the whole season, like when are we going to see that again? And then you do at the end.
Yeah.
That aspect makes more sense. Thematically, no, because the purpose of that episode. There's a lot of mythology in it, but the purpose of that episode at the end of the day is to show you what the series was all about and what it all started with, which was being dealt a shitty hand by your parent. That's the whole point of that entire thing. And having the series lead up to the end. What's the answer? And it's this whole island thing, why it's broken is because of a shitty parent. And then that dovetailing into the next episode, what they died for, and they're sitting around the fire like, why are we here? And it was because you were all alone. Because I saw the same shit that happened to me happen to you guys, and I know you needed something else in your life. Having that all come together at the end is strong. Character thematically.
Okay.
Sci-fi, yeah, I would have liked to have seen that stuff earlier.
Yeah.
That side of it, I agree. But thematically, having it all come to a head, because actually when Mariel watched the show for the first time, she actually wasn't as engaged in the mysteries part of it as I thought she would be.
Really?
Because me, I'm all about like, oh, what does this mean? And she kind of wasn't. She was kind of just like, I wonder what the characters are up to. Like not that she didn't like the sci-fi thing.
No.
But she wasn't like on pins and needles. What's the hatch? What is she wasn't like that. So when she got to that episode, I warned her. I'm like, I don't know. This is a controversial episode. It's polarizing. So see what you think. Blah blah blah. And I remember her coming back from it, and when the series was done, and her telling me, I really liked that the show came down to this idea versus that idea. How one guy reacts to his horrible mother and how another does. And that's how the show, the earliest point in the story starts there. Like, that was cool.
Okay.
And so, for that reason, I think it's good where it's at. Because again, it dovetails into the ending where it's like, we were all broken people who landed on a broken island.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we're here. And it all started with a mom and her 2 sons. And that's it. It wasn't some whatever. It wasn't some fucking nuclear war. It wasn't some fucking alien thing. It was, our mom treated us really shitty.
Yeah.
I'm going to see this through. I'm not. Well, what are you going to do about it? Something bad? I don't think it's worth that. Well, that's your opinion. This is my opinion. Okay. That's it. It wasn't anything beyond that. And I think that's where a lot of people get polarized on that episode, too. They get confused with the Man in Black being the way he is. Well, now I sympathize with him. He should have died. But what the show really is all about is intention. And they were both dealt... They didn't have 2 parents. They had 1.
Yeah.
They were both dealt this shitty hand. And Man in Black's reasoning for being pissed are totally right on, of course.
Yeah.
He wants to go home. He's not like Jacob where he can make the most of this. He's got to go.
Yeah.
And that's his prerogative, but how does he do it? Well, I'm going to have to fuck up some other people's lives. And Jacob, in his, later on and through his plight, he fucks up some lives too. He does some shady stuff to get what he wants, but it's for the sake of doing something good. It's for the sake of, sometimes you do have to break a few eggs, but it's for the better of everybody.
Yeah.
Versus Man in Black is really running rampant through other people's lives for his own. He can't let go of the fact that I came from somewhere else. I got to do that. And you know what I mean? It's intention.
Yeah.
It's intention. I read a really good article this week, too, that really solidified a lot of what I thought about the show, and I'm wondering what people in the chat are saying. They're probably saying this is fucking boring. But, they're not even talking. They're not even listening to us. But anyway, what shirt is that, Rocco? I'm wearing the summer semester shirt. It's on sale now. Mega64.com. I think they took one.
Oh, shit.
Mega64.com. We put it on sale before the people at home, or before it's on the front page. So if you want one, get one now. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
An article that really solidified what I was talking about before. I really think that the island is like the greatest treasure. They have to guard the center. And I really hold by my theory that the light itself, we know that that's where, they ask what it is, and it's life, death, rebirth. But what is it really? And I really stand by that it's time as a physical entity.
Yeah.
It really makes sense. Anytime they manipulate it, it's time that's altered. Why would a lot of people think it's as simple as, it's like goodness. But why would it manipulate time if you touched it?
Yeah.
It's time as a physical object, and, she even says it. Everyone's given some of this, but they always want more. And if it ends, that's it,
Yeah.
But what this article went further to say, and it was kind of something that was half on my mind, but they worded it in a way that was way more simple, was that really the light represented the cycle of things that go away, and more, the circle, the wheel of time keeps turning. Again, another thing that you actually physically see in the show, maybe symbolically or whatever. Mm-hmm. But the article went on to say, and it's really true, that the Man in Black is just the physical representation of the past. And literally the characters fight their past. That's the theme.
Yeah.
That's the entire show anyway.
Yeah.
Is them battling their past to let go, to get beyond it and let go. Mm-hmm. But then when you think about it that way, he is the representation of baggage. And it's interesting thinking about it that way. That it makes the last fight in the show even that much more epic, because it's Jack fighting something from his past. It's and they go through it so much throughout the show too. He represents things that were. Those who have passed. Mm-hmm. Hey, when they're pulling up the rope, this is like when you do the hatch. He just constantly brings up the past. To say, don't you wish you could see so and so again? And he starts lapsing into his old ways. Mm-hmm. And he represents that side of people that they can't put away.
Yeah.
And I think with that in mind, that's really interesting that they not only are figuratively battling their past, that they really do at the end. I mean, I think that's a big misconception too with Lost, is even, you see Mr. Echo look at it at one point and it's like, oh, it's scanning his memory. But is it really, or is he just looking into his past? He looks into this cloud that's faces from
his past,
people he knew, Anyway.
No, him coming back as Alex, and anyone he ever came back as, it was always somebody monumental in that person's life that they couldn't let go of. Mm-hmm. And that was another theme of that show that I think a lot of people, even though it was beat over your head with it, was letting go.
Yeah.
So, but what I always thought was really interesting, and you and I have talked about this before, is Lost never plays one side always. Mm. And still to this day, even when I watch the final season, I find myself from the beginning rooting for the Man in Black. Mm-hmm. I want him to succeed. Yeah. I want him to get off the island, and I want it to be as easy as if they would have just let him leave.
Yeah.
I don't think anything bad could have happened. But ultimately, because of what happened, because he became that baggage, if you want to call it that, that's when it was bad. Because now he's just this evil. Now it's no longer about just let me leave. Now it's about, the way I'm going to... Because I never felt like his approach to people was ever malicious. Like, he wouldn't kill people if he didn't need to. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't, if he wanted to kill... I never felt like he wanted to kill or harm other people until it got to the point where it's like, that's it. This is the end. This is my final push to get out of this place. Mm-hmm. So throughout watching it, the first time and any time, I always just go, man, I kind of just want him to leave off the island, because it's just as simple as, all right, man, just go. You don't have this, I don't think he could have turned into the smoke monster once he left the island. I think it was something, specific to the island.
He couldn't, but that was the thing, though. He was bound to the island for that. He couldn't leave.
Oh. Okay.
He couldn't leave because of the rule. I mean, that he was bound to it. Once he, you could say it started when he fell into the thing, whatever, but he was permanently bound to the island by whatever island powers that be, to where he said he couldn't, he couldn't even traverse the water without, he could be a lock and paddle in the canoe and all that stuff. But he even has a line, and it might even be a deleted scene, I don't even remember, but where he was like, if I could just break the rules, I would have done it already,
Yeah.
He was bound to that island as an entity, whatever. He was part of it. When he fell into the light, he was part of it, or it might have even been before that, but he couldn't leave without what was ultimately, he knew what he had to do to leave was remove the island of its power completely.
Yeah.
And that's why, and you see that start to get set up. They say earlier, like in Richard Alpert's episode, we can't let him leave. You cannot let him leave the island. Well, why? And Richard's wife literally says, we'll all go to hell. And that's, when you finish the show, literal almost. Because you saw what he had to do. He doesn't even know himself, but he goes, well, okay, everything's starting to align here. I've got Desmond. I've got someone who could take me to the heart of the island. We'll see what happens. Okay. And he goes there, and everything unfolds. The island turns off.
Yeah.
He is mortal, and as such can leave just on a boat and float away.
Yeah.
The rules are no longer in play. And that's... but you start to see it crumble away, and it's like hell itself is being unearthed. Mm-hmm. That's the only way he could have left.
Yeah.
He in his whole process became like island deity. He became, part of the whole cycle, whatever.
Yeah.
And couldn't leave unless that was all shut off. But to shut that off would be catastrophic to Time, Life, whatever.
Yeah.
Time, Life magazine.
That's the one thing
I don't know.
I always wanted to. I would have liked to see maybe a little bit of.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that I felt like they should have done this, but it would have been cool to see what if the island were to have sunk. They kill, they kill, they kill him. They stop the threat.
Yeah,
off the
I
island.
felt this way too, though. Like,
What would have happened if? Okay, there's no more island. I would have really I mean, maybe that's what you see in the like afterlife thing, but that's
what would have happened if the island had just outright? Well, the island is their ideal like situation, where the island's not there anymore. But that's not really
a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's their ideal place.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to have seen. But what would you show? I don't know. If the island had see what's going on outside of it as the island's crumbling.
Yeah.
People are like dropping like flies or something. I don't know. I don't know.
That's the thing. They made it seem so large, but then they just kept it so contained, and I don't think that's again to start throwing in like okay, Times Square is like in havoc, and Los Angeles is burning. Like that would have just been so weird to throw in there, but it would have been cool to just see like
a consequence. Just because they also drive into your head the entire time. There's nothing outside this island. Yeah.
Like this is the most important thing. So I don't know. Maybe nah. Well, maybe in the confines of the show, based on what you were saying about it being time, if that's released and the island drops, then time itself ends.
Yeah, time itself ends. You have to think about it though in terms of where they all go when the light is on and the island is good.
Yeah.
The end of the show, they're in the afterlife. Some of these guys died a long time after you, some before you. Why are they here now? Well, there's no now here.
Yeah.
It's a state of timelessness because there's there's this abundant source of. I mean, because time is still going. Because there's within the heart of the island, there's this abundant source of this light. They can have that. Basically, it's almost like timelessness. And think about it that way, it wouldn't have been there. So if anybody had died after the island had gone, I mean, that would be it.
Yeah.
And she even says this light is life, death, rebirth. So you can imagine that would have some effect on the world, or life itself, existing.
Yeah.
So I think it's enough to go off of to go, okay, all right. But they leave it there so where it's
and that's
we can still argue about this,
and that's fine because I watch it and I go, that was good. I fully understand it. I can get behind that, but I have these questions that I like to talk to people about. And that's perfect because that's why I like that show. It wasn't like, oh, okay, this episode ended and I got this and all right. And then I don't talk about it. That's like one thing when I started doing like film analysis classes. That's one thing that stuck with me that one of my professors said. He said, a movie's a good movie. Something you just saw was good if after you've watched it you're still thinking about it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's like when we watched Titanic.
Yeah.
I spent the next 4 days thinking about that movie.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's a good aspect.
Whoa, whoa, and then you realize that it actually happened.
Yeah.
And you're like,
what actually happened?
Oh well,
Titanic?
yeah. I mean, it was foreshadowing about the thing in Spain or wherever it was. James Cameron.
I didn't real. I'm going to sound really stupid. I didn't realize Titanic was based on a real thing. But I actually said that somewhere the other night, and everyone went,
really?
whoops. Did you close that? Didn't mean to. Were there any other things that you took from the what's the spasm that you took from their rewatch of the season? Or?
I didn't realize how annoying Claire's character was.
I didn't really care for her return.
Yeah.
To me, you see her towards the end of season 4, and she's spaced out in the cabin, and it's like, what's in store? And then
she's gone for a
season.
Then
but that was cool. To me, I spent all season 5 going, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
And then she shows up at the end just like, oh, what? Get away. And it's like, I thought maybe she'd be like, she died and is just maybe she died in the battle when the dudes came to the island. Maybe she died and she's just possessed and she's spooky or something. But instead, it was just kind of like, I'm crazy, get away.
Yeah.
And then they spend, honestly, like, again, I ultimately like season 6. But, like, they spend her whole, she has an episode, there's an episode that's about her, like, when Jin is kidnapped by her, that spends the whole episode like, oh, wait till you meet my friend, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's the Man in Black, and it's like, no shit.
Yeah.
I knew that.
It's like,
I feel like the twist of, like, 4 episodes in season 6 is, Locke is here. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we all kind of on that.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, that her. Yeah, her the whole thing in season 6 was just kind of like, you know what? There's no like redemption song here.
Yeah.
There's no like reason that I should like care.
Yeah, and I have to say one other thing too, that I kind of felt like, this is me, but I kind of felt like Sawyer fizzled too. That's me. In season 6, him being a cop, that's cool, and maybe he went on to live a full life with Miles, and that's why they're so together in the afterlife.
Yeah.
You know, because they escaped together. So maybe maybe they were buddies for the rest of their life, and then they died, and that continued. That's cool. But he was a cop. Oh, cool. He wants to, in his afterlife, his ideal thing is like to do the right thing, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But on the island, it's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to, oh, no. He can't. Like, the rules don't let him do this. Oh, bullshit. Oh, my God. And then, I killed them, didn't I? No, the Man in Black did it. And he looks all pensive. That, to me, was set up. Sawyer's going to do some fucking awesome thing at the end. That, to me, was like, he's got to redeem that he did that. And we never get another moment with him. It's like, no, oh, the plane's going? Let me get on. And that was it, I felt like, on the island.
I think for him, it was like, because I see what you're saying, but then what happened to him, I mean, you have to think, it's like skating on the heels of basically his wife dying. Mm-hmm. You know, this woman he lived with for 3 years. He was broken and torn and like...
That's true. That kind of happened in the earlier parts of the season.
Yeah.
He was torn up one time.
And so I see what you're saying, but I think his concern was just, we got to get off this island, and I don't fucking care about anything else anymore. My main goal is to get us off of here and save us. And so it's like, you never see a big mess up by him in the entire show, except for that. I mean, he kills 3 people. But
at the end of the day, though, maybe the point of that, when it looks like, I killed those people, whatever, Jack does say, no, he did.
Yeah.
It was a big game by the Man in Black, and maybe that was their way of just being like, no, Sawyer doesn't need to feel guilty for this. This is all a big ploy by some demon.
It's like, it's playing off of how he probably, like, how Jack felt at the beginning of the season for killing Juliet, when that was actually his fault. I wonder, but just in the same sort of context, I wonder if it really was Jack. But it's the same sort of thing where it's like, that's another redemption for Jack, where it's like, I could have been like, you should listen to me or whatever, and it's like, no, it's not your fault. And that's kind of like the reconciliation of that like story.
Yeah.
So we're there finally
That's
not
true.
at arms anymore.
Yeah, that's true. Where it's like, look, and again, we're dealing with the hand that we've been dealt here.
Yeah.
Jack did his best in that situation where it's like, we need to do this, and it didn't, and it hurt people. Yeah. And Sawyer, the same thing. I did the most with both of them in an explosive situation. Seriously. Really.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good point, though. I never thought about that. That they were both put in that situation and did the best they could. But let's not forget, they were dealt that hand. It wasn't, I'm crazy, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's interesting. I never thought about that. And see, because of that reason, that's a big thing in the story, is dealing with what's dealt to you.
Yeah.
And how you handle it. And that's why I like Mr. Echo's arc so much.
Yeah.
And a lot of people felt, and he did leave the show prematurely, but a lot of people felt like, he didn't even do anything with him. But to me, he ended perfect.
I think
He's a penitent man. He's constantly talking about, do this for God and do this and this and this and this and this. And then at the end, okay, and again, it's the monster probably trying to find his own man of faith. That Locke is off on his own thing. He's trying to find someone gullible enough. Whatever. Hey, yeah, sit before and repent and everything will be okay. And he's like, no, I did the best I could.
Yeah.
Anything that was dealt to me, I did what I could for the people I cared about and to survive. I did my best. I have nothing to be sorry for. That's awesome to me.
Yeah,
that's how you end the character.
Because you know what? I never considered that at that point he was complete. He no longer felt remorse for the death of his brother.
Exactly. He let go.
He
let go.
Let go.
That's the theme of the show.
And he didn't need to be there anymore.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it sucked because I read, and I'm sure you read this too, there was, supposed to be, all the way till the end of the show, a long, story arc about him being the man of God and, this whole thing. He just hated living in Hawaii.
Yeah.
For some weird, they never explained it. It was just, he did not like being in Hawaii, so he asked to be written off the show.
How crazy!
But I'm really glad with what they came up with ultimately.
Yeah.
Because I'd never thought about it. Like I said, I'd never thought about it before now. That hey, here's this complete story arc for this guy only halfway through the show.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh wow, okay. And you don't think about it until you get to the end of the show.
Yeah.
And look back at it now. So it's That was really cool.
Echo's story too also has the flashback where that girl got cut up on the autopsy table or whatever, and that is a great moment too that's overlooked. But when you rewatch the show, is really special. Is she's like, "Hey, I was gone for a little bit, and I saw Yemi, and he said everything's cool, everything's gonna be okay or whatever."
Yeah.
And it's you watch the series initially, and you're like, "Oh, that was weird," and you move on. But it's like that was what I mean.
Yeah.
There was your kind of a big gift early.
And what I really loved about it was that it revealed something that happened a season earlier.
Yeah.
With Claire, with her.
Yeah.
The girl on the autopsy table is the daughter of the psychic.
Yeah, the psychic guy.
And you find out there that guy's a fraud.
Yeah.
And it's and the reason why he reacts the way he did to Claire was because he actually saw something.
Yeah.
And he didn't know that he could do that.
Yeah.
And so they say it when it happens. He wanted her to crash on the island, and I thought that was something that I feel was overlooked.
Yeah.
That people really didn't notice. I mean, he admits, "I'm a fraud. My wife's doing this to mess with me," and then you don't think about it, but it goes back to that guy. And, And I thought that was a really
that was cool.
Take a Skype call?
Yes.
Since I'm sure people are tired of...
I still got to do a couple
things. Yeah.
But whatever.
I got to do laundry.
Did Garrett design that shirt because he likes metal music? I'm going to assume yes.
Does it tell us where? How many people are still watching?
Someone just bought $300 in merch. I don't believe it.
What is there to get $300 of?
One $300 shirt.
If you bought,
we should sell one $300 shirt. It's got sequins.
It's hilarious. A gold leaf poster. Let's see. If they bought all the DVDs...
370 people are still watching this. How is that possible?
They watched us talk about Lost for an hour.
Our name on Skype is Mega64 Podcast, if you want to call in. I haven't seen any ladies call in tonight. What's the deal? You don't like two men being philosophers?
Let us know.
Till.
What up?
Tile.
Hey,
Tile?
sorry.
What's
sorry,
up,
I can't
Tile?
really see you. It's Tyler.
I call you Tile.
Tile.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, what's up?
Do you want me to ask any questions, or are we still talking about Lost?
Yeah, ask a question.
Ask a question, I say.
Alright, what do you think about Studio Ghibli movies?
What do you think about Studio Ghibli?
It's funny that you asked that, because I can tie this right back into Lost.
That's fine with me.
No, that was the worst. That was the best and worst April Fool's joke ever. I don't know if you guys know what that's about.
Oh God, yeah.
They first of all, let me answer your question. I think the ones I've seen, oh God, what was it called? Ponyo was cool.
Oh, Ponyo, yeah.
I've seen another one, but I can't remember right now. All of them. That's the one that just stuck out, and I think they're great. The animation's really unique, and I really like the way they look. They're really visually like appealing, and then the stories are really good too.
Yeah.
Best and worst April Fool's joke was, I think it was after Lost ended.
It's like last year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Last
year
year,
after.
they're like Studio Ghibli. Is that how it said? Ghibli. I've never said it. Ghibli. Yeah. They're gonna do what was it called? Lost Awakening or something like that.
Yeah.
And they had these super accurate to their type of drawing, like screenshots of like Jack with a beard and I think there was one of Charlie, and I don't know if there was anything else, but like I just remember them saying it's, if things turned out different, or I can't remember exactly what the plot was, but it was one of those things where when I saw it, I'm like, oh shit, if that's how they brought back more material for Lost, I'm into that.
Definitely good combination.
But then at the end of it, I went, you know what? I don't feel like they ever need to add on to Lost. I feel like they gave us something complete, and if they did add on to it, I'm afraid that it would ruin what they had.
Yeah, I like the people who created the Lost universe to kind of stick with those people who created it, and like not get other people involved.
See, I'm okay with some ancillary stuff if they wanted to.
Yeah.
I don't need the creators of the show to make more of the show.
Yeah,
But
Well, no, yeah,
you know
but-
what? If
yeah,
they put
we
out
don't
a
need any
comic
more
book or
Lost.
something, I'll read it.
if it was
I'm
something,
okay with ancillary stuff like that.
if it was something like what they're doing with Evangelion, I'd be fine with that. And if it was animated, and that's why I would. Be
But
fine
like,
with it.
there's Ava manga that takes different looks at things and then kind of elaborates on some of the things. Like the anime might bring up something, Dead Sea Scrolls, whatever. The comic will show them like where they like here's where we found them.
Yeah.
Little things that it's not like the story has changed, but here's a little more in depth. on it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that. It's like the lamppost station. This is how Dharma found the island. Cool. Let's see that day.
Yeah.
Like that. Like I wouldn't mind
okay.
seeing
You
that if it's in a
expand.
comic. I don't need more of the show. The show's done.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on it.
You mean like expand on things that are already
Yeah,
made?
I don't need to know. Oh, well, did you know the monster is actually? I don't need more. We got the body is done, pencils down, but just little things like that.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
The first time the wheel was turned, what did that look like?
Yeah.
The first time Jacob left the island, what was that like? Things like that. The first time the monster became something else.
Yeah.
What did that day look like? Things like that, where it's just here's a moment you didn't see, or didn't whatever. But I don't need like new material. Now after Hurley got the island, he made friends with the Eskimos.
Yeah.
They made a third island, and I don't care about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. I don't need you to add to the story like anything new. I would love to see more of that same story elaborated. If that's what they did with that Lost Awakening or whatever it was called, that would have been a really cool thing to do, because it would have literally split that from the world by having it be totally drawn. So it would have been, and I wouldn't have even cared if they didn't get the same like voice actors or anything like.
Story's a story.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.